T-Dog, J-Boy, and me, I'm Lugs. Our pride and joy is pumping our mugs. Be careful, kids, it could get rough. We're flipping our lids on sports and other stuff. Welcome to Sport Weasel Central. I'm Lugs.
I'm J-Boy.
And I'm T-Dog.
Yes, based loosely on facts, this is still sports and other stuff. So let your brain go numb for the next 25 minutes. We might wake you up when it's over. Today, this program, NGQB, no good quarterbacks. We say so long to a few. We'll talk to Warren Buffett live. Well, maybe not. And get his hot take on the economics of no sports. Actually, we'll just let Lugs take that one. Plus, something about Russ Smith that I don't remember. So, gentlemen, Trubisky, Jameis, Dalton, all cast aside for now, backups forever. What in the world happened there, guys?
Reality happened. I mean, you had you've got some talent. I think Andy Dalton's the most steady of that bunch, and he just was basically stuck with a bad team. Jameis was never going to be any better than he was. I mean, he'll throw it into a crowd. Anytime he sees six people together, he tries to put the ball in there. So that's how that works out. And Trubisky, I don't think they've ever used him in the way that he is capable. They should just let that kid run the ball some. Let him just gunsling a little bit. I mean, what the hell they got to lose? They're the Bears,
Oh, boy.
When have they been to the playoffs recently?
2 years ago. You don't
Yeah,
remember?
2 years ago.
What the hell's your problem?
And how close did they get to the big game?
Man, that amnesia's kicking in. The double doink. Don't you remember the double doink field goal, Chris Collinsworth?
I do. I remember that.
Okay.
But again, tell me when they mattered. When were they relevant? Since the 80s.
What are you talking about? They went to the championship in 06. They went to the Super Bowl, for the NFL championship. And then a few years after that, they were in the NFC title game in, I think, 2010 and lost to the Packers. So,
come on, don't you remember Rex Grossman?
Look, to be fair to your point, Lugs, it's been sporadic, but it's because they haven't been able to solve the quarterback issue.
Since Sid Luckman, right?
Yes, because it's Sid Luckman. This is the decline Trubisky had from 2018.
Yes, let it
where
rip.
he was a Pro Bowler, an alternate Pro Bowler, an alternate. So let's put some water on top. But
is that an asterisk? Is what that is?
His yards per attempt from 2018 to 19, it dropped 1.3 yards from 7.4 to 6.1. His touchdowns, even though he played more games than 2018, he only threw 17 touchdowns to 24. And to be fair to Lugs' point, his rushing dropped from 421 to 193. And I do agree with Lugs that a big part of his game that needed to be there, that I don't know if it's because of some of the shoulder injuries he's had that makes him more hesitant. He needs the run. Like, that has to be a part of who he is. If he's going to flourish wherever he's going to flourish, if he does flourish somewhere else, because obviously this is the end since the Bears declined his option.
Right.
So
this will be it.
Yeah.
The man's played in 41 games. It's not like he didn't have a chance.
No, I still think Lugs might be right. He wasn't properly utilized. And I do think to all the people that killed the Bears for drafting Cole Kmet, if you look at Trey Burton, while maybe he didn't set the world on fire, in 2018, he played fairly well. And that was a huge difference, is that they just had a guy in the middle to take pressure off the quarterback for a safety valve. They had no safety valve last year. It was all Allen Robinson just beasting on guys. So, that, I think that is a reason why they put such a high priority on a tight end. Andy Dalton, I'll put it this way. He has 9 years in his career. He has 9 seasons in his career. His first 5 seasons, he went 50, 26, and 1.
Hello.
That's, again, to be fair to Luck's point, he's the best of them because during that time, they had a pretty quality roster.
Yeah.
To be fair to Andy Dalton, he's probably never going to be a guy to lead you to the Super Bowl. But to be fair, he's a very competent quarterback. He went 20-35-1 the last 4 seasons. I think a lot of that has to do with the roster. I don't think it has a lot to do with him.
Right.
I don't think he's had any weapons. I mean,
AJ's been injured a lot.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, I'm not completely like giving him, trying to like protect him. I think he's a solid quarterback. He's a good solid quarterback. I know people don't like talking about solid quarterbacks. They want either guys to be of the ilk of Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, whatever, or be a bum. Because like people enjoy talking about bums or like guys who are great. Like guys who are just solid like Andy Dalton, people don't want to talk about.
Here's the Andy Dalton fan club right here.
Well, I'm definitely.
But I like him. I like him.
Yeah.
I think all the guy does is win, let me just say. In 2010, he was at TCU, right?
Mm-hmm.
Went undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
I think the guy can do well at Dallas.
Yep.
And I think he landed the best of all those guys.
And to be fair to Lugg's point, I mean, they cut him, and very quickly, you heard Jaguars were interested, Jets were interested, and Dallas just jumped in, gave him $3 million with a possibility of $7 million in incentives because they're like, we need a guy because they don't have Dak. Dak hasn't signed his franchise tag yet. So, and again, Dallas has a good roster. When Dalton has a good roster, he plays fairly well. So,
and he's a great sort of safety valve, in case the Dak thing went south or Dak got hurt. I mean, I say with Ezekiel Elliott and those outside receivers, Dalton could run that show. He really could. He's not going to flash out on you and give you that spectacular 70-yard touchdown, probably, but he will run that offense. He will run it just the way it's drawn up.
And that's good clipboard money, man. $3 million a year. That's good money. Has he ever been injured? I can't remember. Has he had a significant injury?
Actually,
what did he have?
Unfortunately, I think he missed some time, like in the last 4 years with I believe like a knee injury. Last year he was benched for Ryan Finley, I believe.
That's right.
Which was a bad idea. But the unfortunate thing for him, the year where he could have got the bugaboo of not winning a playoff game, they were one of the best teams in 2015. They honestly were. Through 13 games, I think he had 25 touchdowns. I think like single-digit interceptions through 13 games. Broke his thumb against Pittsburgh. That's the year in the playoffs. A.J. McCarron lost to him. And think about it, A.J. McCarron is not that good. The way Dalton was playing, they could have made a deep run in the playoffs that year. They really could have. So.
Right. Well, all right. That's and what about so anybody else on that cast aside quarterback?
Well,
pile?
Speaking of not great backup or not bad money, Jameis Winston went from being the number 1 overall pick to his deal with the Saints is for $1.1 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
But he landed. You like that deal, right? I mean,
yeah. No, I like it for the Saints. I like it for the Saints. I was going to say through their first 5 years, just as a comparison, and I'm not even saying I'll let you all to figure out how you feel about it. His record through his first 5 years, he was 28-42. Drew Brees, who played 5 years with San Diego, he was 30-28.
Yeah.
Touchdowns for Jameis was 121 to 88 interceptions. Drew Brees was 80-53. Their completion percentage was essentially the same, 61%. So,
yeah, could be good. Okay, no football, no money, college, NFL. What's going to happen, guys, if we don't have sports?
Well, I think what you have to look at, too, it's not just the players losing money. I mean, when you look at, say, LeBron loses $400,000 for every game they don't play. Now that, he's taken care of money-wise. But then you look at all the guys like vendors, ticket takers, guys who run the buildings, do the maintenance and stuff.
Popcorn,
they're hurting.
Beer guy, right.
And Kevin Love and the Greek Freak both have ponied up money for those folks, like $100,000 each, so that they can be taken care of. I guess the big money, really, though, for the NBA is obviously the TV money, and that's like $9 billion, which is more than half of their budget. So not being able to have those games. And I think more and more people, I saw a survey that said now 76% of sports fans are saying they're okay with them playing games without fans in the stadium or wherever. So I think people don't realize how ingrained sports is in the economy, and I haven't even mentioned betting. So, and I suppose the question is, what do you do? Do you come back without fans there? And maybe they will. I just think the baseball one of moving them all to Arizona and putting them in one hotel or something is kind of a strange thing. But hey, they got to try to salvage something, I suppose.
Yeah, I think I heard Silver, the NBA commish, say 90% of all their viewing happens elsewhere other than broadcast television, and a lot of it's overseas in Asia. So, and then you look at the Kentucky Derby that didn't happen this past weekend. Well, horse racing will return, probably without fans, and all the betting's online anyway. I mean, most of your betting is online and not in person most of the time. So I think it survives, does well, and they can do games without fans as far as I'm concerned. Would you watch it? I think you would. NFL? I think you would. College won't happen if the kids don't go back to school, though. That won't happen.
Well, that'd be a hard sell if like the campus is for the most part vacant, but they're like, but these people that are supposed to be, student athletes are on campus by themselves just so they can play games. It'd be a really bad look. Interesting thing that's been brought up and murmured is because there might not be a season this year, the supplemental draft for the NFL might be way more enticing than it usually ever is. So
good point.
Yeah.
And I tell you, I'm not a big hockey fan, but hockey it doesn't get a whole lot of TV money. So I'm assuming that they live and die with ticket sales at the arenas. So I think hockey is going to take a big hit too.
But of all the sports where fluids exchange with fighting and sweat and hitting each other, that's probably the worst of them.
Football. Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, still the most interesting thing is not every team does this, but a lot of owners do own the building. So still, even though they're getting money from TV, they still need to generate revenue from the actual stadium. And usually, like particularly for football, they'll have like concerts, be like Lambeau Field or be in San Francisco or whatnot. They're losing that money for opportunity for money. So like it's still an important part of the business is to have, not to say they can't. Oh, you go.
I was just going to say, your beer distributors and all the people that put their names on the banners and stuff, they're not going to spend it. They don't have any. There's no place to vend any beer or sell you pizzas or whatever. So yeah, they're losing all that underneath money that we don't really think about. We think of just ticket sales and maybe, some of the food and beverage sales, but they're also sponsorships, and it's a crazy time.
Now, but wait a minute, man. Liquor stores, I've heard this, are doing home delivery right now. So don't rule that out.
Well, yeah, and you can do drive-through. I mean, get your pina colada right out the window.
If you like pina coladas. Okay, Lugs, you want to talk about Russdiculous, and I don't know what it's about, so you have the floor. Sir.
Well, let me just say this. When I had this idea, the allegations had not come down against U of L. But here's the idea. I think Russdiculous's jersey should be hung in the Young Center. The man gave it every